Today the woman we are going to talk about can definitely make you hate her to the point of grinding your teeth. Because she is not only scum, but also terrible. And she is the kind of disappearing lover that gives people goosebumps. Now, let me introduce the main characters of the story, the couple in front of us. The man is named Nick and works part-time as a teacher. Amy is a famous writer. Nick is poor, while Amy comes from a wealthy family. At a party 7 years ago, they fell in love instantly and married 2 years later. Like many young couples, they both felt that they were each other's perfect life partners. But as time goes by, they go from inseparable to finding each other annoying. And even physical fight. Today it's their 5th wedding anniversary. Just like last year, Nick is not at home with Amy. But instead he comes to the bar he runs with his sis. Drinking and venting to his sister about his disappointment in Amy. And his dissatisfaction with life. After he finishes whining, he returns home and finds something wrong. In the living room, the coffee table is overturned and Amy is nowhere to be seen. After realizing, Nick promptly calls the police. After inspecting the house, the police find bloodstains on the kitchen door frame. The same on the floor, and there is a large amount of it. There are now 2 possibilities: either Amy was kidnapped, or Nick killed his wife. Detective Mary brings Nick to the police station. After some inquiries, Mary doesn't find any flaws. They have to let him go first. Could it be true that Amy was kidnapped? I don't think so. To locate Amy quickly, they hold a press conference. Because Amy is a famous writer with many fans, they think this would help in finding Amy. Unexpectedly, the media grabs the chance. Without any evidence, they maliciously speculate and report carelessly, asserting that Nick must have killed Amy. And he is criticized. Many people are skeptical. However, Mary finds 2 clues. First, all of Nick's property is registered under Amy's name. Even the bar, which means Nick has been living off Amy. Second, she finds an envelope in Amy's room, with clues written on it, one of which is about campus scenery. Mary doesn't understand, so she asks Nick. And Nick quickly understands. It is a treasure hunt game they used to play. The so-called campus scenery is Nick's office at school. Because they occasionally relax here. Sure enough, after coming to the office, they find a letter with clue 2 written on it. The content is a brown house. Nick says he doesn't know what it means. He also doesn't know the meaning of the brown house. Thus, he arrives solo that evening. Here, he finds clue 3 before he has a chance to look at it. Mary also comes, she has been following him. Nick explains to Mary. This is his father's old house and he frequently visits. He says the house is not brown, but blue. Mary shines her flashlight and discovers that it is indeed blue. But she doesn't know that Nick's father's name is Brown, which sounds like the color brown in English. Afterwards, Nick quickly departs and sees the contents inside, which says that she is going to punish Nick and has already prepared gifts for him. They're all in the cabin. The so-called cabin is the storage room of Nick's sister's house. Nick, after opening the door, he finds that the so-called gifts are all things he has always wanted to buy, but hasn't had the chance to buy yet. Then the screen turns to the missing Amy. She is driving north. From her account, we discover everything is planned by her. Why did she do this? "3 months ago, Amy learns her husband is having an affair. But she doesn't make a fuss or want a divorce. Instead, she plans a scenario where she is murdered by her husband. And the method is quite clever. Step 1. Befriend a pregnant neighbor. From time to time vent her dissatisfaction in life to her. Highlight domestic violence by her husband and other distressing incidents. Step 2. Spend a lot of time writing a diary. The content begins from when she met her husband, until the husband will eventually kill her one day. Step 3 is to damage the toilet. Then invited the neighbor to come to her house. Collect her urine and go to the hospital for examination. Omit details about pregnancy, because the pregnant woman is usually the one that people care. Step 4 is to exploit the husband's inattentiveness. Make him increase her insurance amount. Step 5 is to find the husband's credit card. Make him unknowingly accumulate a large amount of debt on it. Step 6 is to set up the scene after the husband leaves. First, coffee table is overturned, and then her own blood is drawn. She scatters it around and wipes the blood on the ground. Finally, she leaves gracefully. In this way, with testimonies and evidence, combined with the well-arranged scene, the husband's charge of murdering his wife has basically been established. She wants to make the husband suffer eternal damnation. And these pieces of evidence will be presented one by one next. Because their house is sealed off as a crime scene, Nick, her husband, has to stay at her sister's house. One night, his affair partner suddenly finds him. Although they are very careful, they are still discovered by his sister when she leaves. Now her sister also suspects Nick killed Amy. This makes Nick very helpless. On the third day arrived. Tonight Amy's fans are having memorial service while Nick is talking about missing his wife. The neighbor who has previously made friends with Amy appears and directly questions him about what he did to his pregnant wife. Upon speaking these words, a scene erupted. Nick is dumbfounded, he has no idea what is going on. He doesn't know what to say and can only awkwardly escape from there. And then Detective Mary finds him that evening. Since Amy's insurance has already been traced, the insurance amount is increased and Nick is burdened with a massive debt, and so on. The pre-prepared information Amy had, combined with her previous statement to the pregnant neighbor, Mary's suspicion of him has escalated to a new level. As for these pieces of information, Nick has no idea how to explain them. Besides, police's suspicion of him. The online public is against him too. Nick briefly becomes America's most hated man. On the other side, Amy has dyed her hair and put on makeup. She has found a hidden town to live in. Also make friends with a girl. Now they are watching the news about Nick. Seeing Nick treated like a rat crossing the street, Amy is extremely happy. After much thought, Nick realizes, coupled with this series of strange events, that Amy must be seeking revenge on him. To escape the current predicament, he finds lawyer Tanner and tells him everything. The lawyer provides him an idea after hearing it. Now everyone supports Amy, so must overturn Amy's perfect image in everyone's hearts. Only by doing so can they reverse the situation. But what should they do? Per past letters, Nick finds two of Amy's exes. They have both been deceived by Amy, but they won't speak up. For a while, the situation reaches a deadlock. And at this moment, two more things happen. The first thing, Mary finds a notebook in the fireplace deliberately placed there by Amy before. The second thing, she receives an anonymous phone call. So to find the things in the cabin. And this anonymous call is actually made by Amy. The contents in the notebook, along with a room full of luxury goods, plus everything that happened before, Nick is directly arrested. However, due to the lack of a body and conclusive evidence of murder, under Tanner's operation, Nick is released on bail again. And just when Nick doesn't know what to do, guess what? Amy comes back in a car covered in blood. Amy, who is missing for a week, suddenly returns. Additionally, she is bloody and unkempt. This is what happened. Amy was playing balls with her friends that day. She dropped her money by accident. Consequently, her friends came and robbed her that evening. They dared to do it because after spending time together, her friend discovered Amy's secret. Knowing Amy didn't have the courage to report it to the police. Now the whole world seeks her. Not to mention reporting it to the police, she doesn't even dare to show her face here. I have to say, it serves you right. With all the money robbed. After careful consideration, Amy contacted and met her ex-boyfriend Will. When Will appeared by her side, Amy started her act again, portraying herself as a pitiful woman who had to leave home after suffering from domestic violence. She even claimed that she had been thinking about Will all these years. Seeing Amy's tearful appearance, Will said he would help her, and took her to a villa, assuring her that it was safe and no one would find them there. Amy planned to move overseas with Will after Nick's conviction, but just don't know what was wrong with her. Watching Nick on TV, she still felt Nick was the best choice, so she chose to return to him. But things had reached this point. How could she go back? She planned a lot. Step 1. Take advantage of Will's absence. She stained her clothes with wine and tied a cloth strip around her leg. Then ran under the camera and pretended to be kidnapped and violated by someone. Step 2. After Will's return, she dressed up and made herself attractive. And started. I won't elaborate on it here. Step 3. Exploiting Will's drunkenness. She used a paper cutter and took it over with one cut. Covered in blood, she returns home and weakly faints in Nick's arms. Later, faced with the police's questioning, she fabricates a story of Will's kidnapping, confinement, and violation, combining it with the existing surveillance footage. She killed Will flawlessly for personal satisfaction. Regarding the cabin's notes and gifts, she also has his own explanation. Although her lies are perfect, Nick believes that the truth is far from it. After getting home, he starts questioning Amy. And Amy also reveals the truth. Nick is horrified after listening. He finds the lawyer and Mary, and tells them everything. But they say there is nothing they can do. Because there is no evidence, Nick can only resign himself to his fate. In an instant, several months have passed. Nick became a celebrity deeply in love with his wife. The bar becomes a chain store, but he lives in fear every day. He doesn't even dare to touch Amy. Finally, one day, he explodes and vows to pay any price. He wants to divorce Amy, but Amy says, "How would others perceive it if they are to divorce now?" The most crucial thing is, this time Amy is really pregnant. Because after coming back, she took out the sperm that Nick had frozen before. Nick is dumbfounded and angry after hearing this. He couldn't do anything and could only choose to compromise obediently. Wife disappears, everyone blames him. Wife returns, but he is in an abyss now. To manage a marriage to this stage, it really terrifies people. It is difficult to imagine what kind of exciting scene their future life will be. And what kind of tragic ending they will have.